The evening never recovered after that. Christian said little since the dance, which was not unusual in itself, but there was something different about him now. Where he might once have offered only sparingly, he offered nothing at all, and what life had been in him before gave way to something darker and closed off in a way that was not his. He drank more than I had ever seen him take, and though it didn't make him loud or careless, it made him very still. And I knew enough of him to understand the stillness was not peace. It was restraint. I found myself watching him more closely than I wished to, not from any fear he might turn his temper towards me, but from the growing certainty he might do something entirely unlike himself that couldn't be undone. He'd always been so careful, with his conduct, with his name, with mine. He carried Blackmere as though it were a thing that might break if mishandled, and his father's expectations with it. To witness his control slipping, even slightly, unnerved me. I had no wish to see him embarrassed, nor the house brought into question, nor his father given cause for disappointment on my account, and yet I understood if I didn't intervene, I might. Though I was mindful not to glance in Henrik's direction for the rest of the evening, when he passed by on his way to the loo, our eyes met again. And I felt a tightening in me that had nothing to do with him and everything to do with what it would mean beside me. I didn't need to look to know Christian had seen it. He noticed everything where I was concerned, and it wouldn't matter in the least that there was nothing in it for me, or that I cared for no one but him. Christian would take it for some sort of signal that it wasn't. Careful not to be seen, I looked to Christian and found him tracking Henrik as a cat might stalk a bird, and the worry in me rose instantly, filling my chest and turning my hands damp where they rested. I had never seen that look in him before, never. It was not temper, nor even jealousy, but a thing far darker than either, and I realized then, if I did not put an end to it, he might in his own way. I glanced at Cyril to tell him we must leave soon, and found he was already thinking it as well, his eyes on mine with a concern he did not trouble to hide as he gave the smallest motion towards the door. So my hand moved to Christian's thigh beneath the table, the only way left to reach him without drawing notice, and he answered it at once, his attention breaking from the back of the room to me when I asked, "Christy, may we leave soon? I am not feeling up to all this any more." He changed so easily. Whatever had taken hold of him fell away the moment I spoke, and he turned to me as though nothing else in the room held any importance at all. His eyes moved over me as if he expected to find some hurt only he would know, his hand coming to my cheek. "What is it, my darling?" I knew better than to offer him anything but the truth. Even as he was, he'd see through it immediately, and I didn't want to give him cause to question me further. "It is nothing, really," I said. "Only that I should like to lie down and watch the telly. It has grown a bit too crowded for me, I think." Whether he believed me or only chose to accept it, I couldn't say, though he watched me a moment longer, as though weighing it, saying nothing all the while. "Come, then," he eventually said as he rose, taking me up with him. Cyril had already set himself in motion ahead of us, moving towards the door with a lightness that wouldn't seem odd. He paused only where required to take a hand or kiss a cheek, offering apologies for our premature departure and speaking of a full schedule that wouldn't permit us to remain. Christian kept hold of my arm as he led me outside, and though there was nothing in it I could point to, it was not kindly given. I couldn't have said precisely why, only that there was something in the way of it that told me he was still quite cross with me, though he'd permit no one else to see it. No sooner had we stepped out onto the pavement than the reporters came at us. "Lady Grace," one called out to me, "tell us about your dance with Prince Henrik. It is rumoured you were quite taken with each other." Cyril raised his hand to hail a car, intent on getting us away before Christian said or did something to embarrass the lot of us. Christian stepped back, a breath leaving him sharp enough to be heard. Before they could make anything of it, I reached for him and took his fingers so there could be no mistaking that I was his, and he was mine, Oh, yes, I said. I did. I think Mr. Ashcombe was quite the sport to loan me out to the lonely bachelors of Mayfair tonight. Was he not? A few laughs rose around us, enough to take the edge off it, and Cyril's whistle for us had Christian lifting his hand to cut off any further questions. That will be all for now, he said. If you will excuse us. The car drew up at the curb, and we went to it, Cyril getting in first. Christian's hold on me remained as we followed, and though he said nothing, the set of his shoulders and the quiet of him told me his temper had not passed. As he always did, he waited for me to go first, stepping aside to give me the space to enter as I gathered my dress and coat and made myself settled. He stood guard until I was in, near enough to shield me from the reporter's view, and only then did he follow after. Cyril stretched in his seat as the car pulled away, reaching his legs out before him and letting out a yawn. I believe I am too old for that sort of thing now, he said. I find I much prefer an early night these days. Quite, Christian said, his attention fixed on the passing night beyond the glass, offering nothing further. But I caught the tightening of his jaw, the small movement there, the only thing holding him in check. I didn't wish for him to remain so caught in his anger, whatever had passed between us. He might be livid with me for a while if he chose, but I wouldn't have him turn it upon himself, nor carry it any further than he must. So I reached for him. My hand found his on his lap, and I leaned closer, resting my head against his arm, and he allowed it, his fingers closing around mine in answer, and though he kept his attention on the scene outside the window, I saw the tension at his jaw ease, if only by a little.